Are you a songwriter? Are you looking to turn your songwriting passion into a full-time gig? Whether you are just at the start of your songwriting journey or a seasoned industry professional, this show is made for you. Welcome to the Songwriter Show, bringing together songwriting news, interviews, and community. Now, welcome your host, Sarantos.
Thank you for tuning in, and welcome back to the Songwriter Show, right here on Reality Radio 101. I'm your host, Sarantos. I'm a solo music artist who's been writing lyrics for as long as I can remember. Words are so important to me, and that's why I'm thrilled to host this show for you every Tuesday evening. I believe in my heart that every song is a story. Tonight's guest is Ryan Egan. He's an American singer-songwriter and music producer living in Paris, France. With the release of his EPs Fever and Bloom and Postures, along with numerous hit singles, Ryan has gained critical acclaim from outlets like Noisy and Billboard, as well as substantial support from Spotify playlists like New Music Friday, Fresh Finds, and Apple Beats Ones, accumulating millions of streams. His debut full-length album Soft Power is out April 2022.
And now, welcome this week's special guest.
Welcome to the show, Ryan. How you doing tonight?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So you have a pretty cool story. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in the path of music.
Totally. Pretty typical story. Just grew up in the suburbs of New Jersey, and sort of simultaneously was just getting into skateboarding and music with friends in high school, and would just basically spend my after school hours writing songs and jamming with friends, learning music that way. I had started, I guess originally a bit younger, I was starting to play drums in the school band. So I was like getting a bit of that elementary knowledge of rhythm and sort of the basics, but really got into music from a more social aspect, and pretty quickly put together bands and was writing original music. Was lucky enough to be with a group of musicians that were interested in recording. So we were like pretty early DIY recording before that was a common thing with, home studios everywhere. So that continued on from teenage years, up until my early 20s, played in a few different bands. And then I went on to just become a lot more independent and self-sufficient with my writing as that just became more and more of a daily process for me. So I started just getting a little bit more acquainted with different instruments like piano and guitar, and so that I could compose on my own and not rely on a band or other collaborators in that regard.
Okay, what propelled the move to France?
Yeah, so I was living in New York for a long time, and that's where I met my now wife, who is French from Paris, and so we lived together in New York for a long time, and was just visiting over the years and learning French, and just really have been embraced by friends and family there. And so over the years, it just really became a home away from home. And at a certain point, it just was a cool opportunity to give it a try, to finally get a bit more fluent with my French, and also just trying another city in terms of like a market for releasing music, for working in the music industry. It's quite different, but after playing in New York and living and working in the New York area for a long time, it was a really cool unique opportunity that I've just been blessed with, to have this second home there. So yeah, it's been just over 2 years now.
Yeah, that sounds really cool, man. Congrats.
Thanks.
So are there any famous musicians that you admire or respect?
Man, the list is endless. I guess, a lot of my all-time favorites just over the years would definitely be, the Beatles and the individual Beatles. I guess, let's see, Radiohead, Bowie, Bjork, D'Angelo, Stevie Wonder, it goes on and on, Prince, And then, in terms of more modern artists, contemporaries, I'm a big fan of James Blake and Frank Ocean, Unknown Mortal Orchestra. There's just, I feel like we're also just very lucky in the current music climate. There's just so much, we have access to just endless music, and there's so much great music coming out on a daily basis practically.
Yeah, for sure, man. So if there's one musician you could jam with, who would it be? You could only pick one.
I might, I mean, that's a really difficult one, but I might say James Blake.
Okay, why?
I find him to be, just his musicality is so endlessly inspiring, and I feel like it's someone who is a contemporary, and if I were in a room with him, just what I could pick up from a songwriting angle, composition, production, he's just kind of that example of someone that's just so well-rounded and versatile, that seems like an ideal sort of scenario, and just seems like a lovely guy too. So
That's cool. All right. Is there any advice you'd give musicians that are just starting out now, whether they're in the US and Europe?
yeah, I think from a creative standpoint, um, find focus time every single day, truly focus time to work on whatever it is you're setting out to do. So if songwriting is a priority, sit down and work on songwriting to some degree every day, whether that's learning songs or editing previously written songs or writing something from scratch. In terms of a career in music, I think also there's just so many resources out there, from YouTube to books to podcasts like this, where you can just become acquainted with other people of varying levels within their music career. You can listen to these conversations with industry insiders and creatives that have been doing it. And I just think that we're really living in a unique time. So, engage with your peers within creative industries, and get involved on social media and connect with people that way. So I think, between those two, just being consistently learning about the industry that you're working on establishing a career within, and then also consistently working on your artistic craft. Those two simultaneously, I think you can't really lose.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I know I've been doing this 8 years now, and I'm just always trying to learn, and you can't ever not try to get better. And I think what you said is key, especially for people starting out.
Yeah, it's pretty endless. In terms of creative resources, I mean, download a songbook, learn your favorite artist's material, study lyrics, dig througthat YouTube and see people that are dissecting, new or old material. There's tons of great podcasts that dissect and analyze music. There's podcasts like this with conversations with songwriters and other types of creatives. So just from the creative angle, I mean, we really have all the resources available to us. It just takes some organization and research, and then as we do that, and we're learning our respective instruments or crafts, you find that it's pretty applicable across the board. So maybe you're trying to understand music publishing. Maybe you're trying to understand how to get into the live circuit in your city or your country or whatever. There's just so much information about how to build your career in a variety of ways, and just finding what makes sense to your project and your artistic goals. So some people, that might be way more studio focused, or it might be completely performance based. So there's so much information out there, and I think people are mostly willing to share it and connect as well. So
Yeah, yeah, great point. How often do you try to practice or play your piano?
well, I mean, specifically piano uh, not being my only or main instrument. That's a good question, just because just to stay interested, I'm always changing. So if I write a song, one day on guitar, um, maybe the next week I'm writing a song on piano, or producing more of a full track that's sort of maybe a little bit more beat driven, or maybe I'm using synths, or just inspiring myself with different sound design and different textures. But I would say I'm engaging with music every day. And then in terms of songwriting, I write a song a minimum once a week, and ideally more than that.
Okay. How do you figure out if a song you just finished or an idea that you're working on is going to make it to a CD or see the public?
Good question. And I'm definitely kind of constantly mulling around that very idea, and trying to understand where to place the like variety of material that I've built up in a catalog, like where it goes, what project. Should I start a side project? Should I offer it to other artists? Just the more we write and build up this sort of catalog on our on our hard drives, we can't possibly use all the material, and we do need some hindsight to have a bit of an outside perspective, and understand what exactly the right material is for a particular album, or just as an individual single. So I think typically I'm just writing with my head down, full speed ahead, and then after a couple months I sort of check in, and I'll listen back to the last couple months of demos, and take notes and say, okay, this one might work for the album, the next album, or let me put this one aside under this sort of hypothetical side project that I'm kicking around. So I think, for me, I'm just sort of writing, look back, writing, look back, and then, when possible, also getting some outside ears from friends or collaborators.
Yeah, okay. When you start the process, what do you do first? Lyrics, melody, drum groove? How do you figure that out?
I would say like 80-90% of the time, progression, putting down, just either, finding inspiration from other songs, kind of like pulling up some chord progressions and messing around with them. But very, very soon after, once I even two chords, three chords, whatever I'm starting to feel as I'm toying with progressions on the piano or guitar, I am pretty immediately singing, and just working out melodies in that sort of mumble language, and yeah, always in that order, really, like just some progression until I'm inspired, singing over it, and then lyrics.
Yeah, okay. One of the things I try to ask a lot of or almost every guest is about scams. Anything that you've fallen for that you want to share with us so we can all protect each other?
That's a great question. I wish I had something really off the top of my head, but I guess being that I do most most of my project is run DIY and completely independently. So I'll do my own PR outreach, or pitching to playlists on Spotify and all the other DSPs, reaching out to radio, etc. And what I'm finding is increasingly common, is a sort of pay to play thing from Spotify playlist curators,
Sure.
not official editorial teams, but these third party playlisters, which are essentially a modern version of, say, like a blog. It's just a tastemaker, a musical curator that's building up their own platform, with playlists on different DSPs. And I've seen some. First of all, I don't think anyone should pay any number for a feature on a playlist. It's the equivalent of getting traditional press. You should pitch your music around. If someone likes it and they want to support you, that's the goal. That's great. But I've gotten responses from people asking for, $100, $200, $300 just for, with like a variety of packages saying, hey, like we'll put you on the playlist for a month or something. And it's just, It's ridiculous. So that's a scam to me. And also I believe, from what we understand about the way that all works algorithmically, a lot of the time this is not that I don't know if it's necessarily going to like blacklist anyone on a platform like Spotify, but in the back end, it's not good. It's not like a healthy way to be using the platforms. And so people that are paying to get on these sort of bot driven playlists and stuff, it's just also it's not a good look, and it's not a good way to build your fan base or your presence on these platforms. So that's one scam. And then, it's not always scams, but just you have a lot of people with sort of no name, PR companies or any sort of like music marketing or promo companies, and just I think people need to be wary of this sort of outreach. And if this is day one and you're just kicking off your music project, and then someone hits you up like, hey, like, I can get you millions of streams, or we're going to be pitching you to record labels or whatever it is. Just do your research. And I would say 9 out of 10 times, it's probably, if they're reaching out to you, it's very possible that it's not a scam, but it's just someone that sort of needs you more than you need them. And, the credentials are pretty clear. Look at the email, especially if I have gotten some scam emails from say major labels, and you'll see something funny like warnermusic@gmail.com. Some like pretty obvious things like that you can look out for.
I agree with you, and I think as an indie artist, it's a tough boat because you find someone or you're referred to somebody and you think, oh, I'm going to put $50, $100, $200 into something, and you think you're getting legitimate Facebook followers or Spotify listeners or streams, and you think it's legit, and it's the hardest thing to navigate because, like you said, you get bots, you get things that are going to throw off your fan metrics, and then it's just torture. I mean, it doesn't help you at all. It hurts you.
Right. And I think if we just sort of think clearly about what our goals are with our projects, and, I know for myself, I'm looking to create music and share music with fans that are similar to myself, that like the music that I like, that engage with music in the way that I do. And I think if we know our priorities and we know what we're setting out to do, we can basically avoid all of that nonsense, and just really think about, okay, where do I discover music? In what ways, can I make my own music available to potential fans and listeners, so that people like myself can discover this music, and then how can I maintain that listenership and provide something so that people will keep coming back and keep enjoying the material I'm putting out and seeing it evolve. And so I think I think if we have clear priorities, there's that. And then, it's also to the point of other scams, it just depends. Like if you have a clear mind about, again, what it is you're setting out to do, we can be a little bit more collected about, receiving some scam email from warnerrecords@gmail.com or something.
Sure.
Where, some people might get overexcited about that sort of thing and be blinded and not even look at the Gmail address. So I think priority should not be, landing some major label thing, but but building your independent project to the point where you can see right through those things, and probably at that point maybe you even know people within that network of major labels, and you can kind of have a bit more trusted sources around you, and be able to just see through those things and have a kind of calmer mind about it.
Yeah. We're going to listen to your song in a couple of minutes, but last question. How do you direct people? If you have a young musician and he's like, hey, I have 100 or 500 or $1,000 a month, where do you suggest they put that? Where do you suggest they advertise?
That's a good question. I think definitely in any sort of content creation, be it visuals, or of course, like recording new music, maybe investing in if part of their goal is to be able to be a bit more self-sustainable and have a home recording setup of any sort. I think like investing in those tools is key, even for just the day-to-day creative process, but also sort of not main release things, just doing side content, or just having any sort of control over editing trailers or social media content or doing acoustic demos or whatever it is. So there's that. And then also in terms of promo, I think maybe considering this is something I haven't really engaged with much, but like Facebook Ads Manager, doing this sort of ad campaigning to direct people to whatever platform you're currently working on. Maybe you want to direct fans straight to Spotify, and you can get really specific with targeting fans in that way. I think in this day and age, it's more of a luxury to hire a publicist. It's not quite as important as it once was. So there's a lot of other options for pitching to blogs and like platforms like Submit Hub or Groover, and that's a small investment. So yeah, I think like mostly content creation, but of course we do need to invest in promotion in some regard, so that work is actually seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sort of budgeting, I might not be the best person to ask.
Okay. So we're going to check out your song, and then we'll come back and talk for a few more minutes, okay?
Great.
All right, Ryan, everybody check this out.
Dance us out of our clothes, just don't let
Well, thank you for that song, Ryan. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so that's the Weeknights is the first single off my upcoming album, which is called Soft Power. That'll be coming out in April 2022. And yeah, I think it's a good representation of the record as a whole, which was co-produced by Kevin Basco, who has a great space in Philadelphia. So last winter I went back and recorded with him a 9-track album between Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey, working with some old collaborators and friends. And so yeah, I think this was a cool one to lead with, especially being that I released the song in September, and it was sort of that post-summer feel. It's a really chill, feel-good, groovy song, and just wanted to ride that sort of almost endless summer feeling or nostalgia for the end of vacation. If I had any opportunity to do that with this album, because I think a lot of it is a bit more melancholy, or just not that sort of music. It's not very summery music. So yeah, that's my 2 cents about that.
Okay, awesome. You got anything new coming out anytime soon?
Yeah, so on November 12th, the second single, which is called Alone for the Last Time, will be out everywhere. And this is a song that I'm really excited to share, because it was one of the main songs that really led to me putting together the album as a whole, and a lot of that came to fruition during the first lockdown here in France. And so this is a real, in my mind, like a real confinement lockdown anthem, just about solitude and being on your own and sort of embracing it and seeing the advantages of it. So I feel grateful that I had I had no serious losses from the experience of COVID, and I was able to comfortably just write and get lost in that process and get through it, and also thrive a bit, because as artists and songwriters, we're pretty used to this solitary process, and so I quite enjoyed it, and this song is really the perfect example of my mindset in that regard.
Awesome. Before we let you go, can you tell us your website where people can buy your music, stream it?
Yeah, so anywhere that you would find music, you can check out my upcoming releases as well as my back catalog. My website is thisryanegan.com. You can purchase music on iTunes and Bandcamp. It's available for streaming on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, all the standard platforms. And you can follow me on any social at this Ryan Egan.
Awesome, Ryan. I want to thank you so much for being on the show tonight.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. So thank you so much for tuning in with me and Ryan tonight, everybody. I want to thank you guys for spending a little time with us, and I hope your own unique story gets heard around the world. My name is Sarantos. Please join me every Tuesday night to hear other amazing artists share their fascinating behind-the-scenes stories right here at the Songwriter Show on Reality Radio 101. And tonight, I'm going to leave you with one of my songs called Who Am I to Fight the Universe? If you ever felt like you're fighting against the world and everyone in it, imagine fighting against the entire freaking universe. Hope you guys have a great night. I love you guys. See you next week.
My mama was a hard working girl. Said an image can create a new world. Being is part of breathing, and believing is always a part of dreaming. wasted so much of my life drowning. Used up so many of my days climbing. Spent most of my nights crying. So tired of always trying. Who am I to fight the universe? Who am I to curse the universe? The silly stars to beckon me. If God allows this mess to be, then maybe I should just accept my destiny. Fresh ink on the newspaper, yet I don't feel any safer. Home still smells the same, and I'm still stuck in a house of pain, so much pain. Mama said I was meant for something greater. So why am I denied my nature? My nature. How could she be so wrong? I don't feel like I belong. I don't belong.
Thank you for listening to The Songwriter Show. To keep the momentum going, head over to www.songwritershow.com and join our free music community of artists, songwriters, and producers. That's www.songwritershow.com.